What's good with it? It's your boy, Simon Phoenix. This is Shots Fired. What up, what up, what up? What's good with y'all? What's good with it? Appreciate y'all stopping by the show as y'all do. Normally, I am talking about my magical bag and how I always have someone to pull out of it. And what I'm going to say today is that the magic bag kind of exploded on me because a lot of people enjoyed Danny Jr., a.k.a. Jizzle. And even more than that, when you got somebody as crazy as him, I was like, I need somebody else to even it out. So I called my homeboy Monte, which is both of our friends, and look here, hot dog.
That nigga my cousin, though.
I don't care, bro.
We ain't friends.
I don't care, bro.
We is not friends.
Can you believe this? He's
so unnecessary. He couldn't even let you get.
I couldn't even announce myself.
Right. No introduction. Look, he just had to come ruin it because
right on in. That's what that type of black person does.
He's that.
Say what you gonna say. Say what you want to say.
He's that type of black person.
Listen. That's code right there. That's veiling. That's thin veiling. Say what you gonna say.
I mean, don't hype him up to call you out. Don't hype him up to call you out your name on my show, bro. What?
I'm not even a hard R on here. Why would I hard R?
Why would you do that? You look. This is why I think people are entertained by you, because I'm reining you in, and that's terrible. When a person that needs to be reined in is reining somebody else in, you know that's funny times.
And we ain't even got started yet.
No, we ain't even got to the why y'all here or nothing.
No, not at all. I apologize for jumping the gun, but I get excited when I'm on the radio. Excited.
Well, let me know when you get on the radio, because this is a podcast. Stop doing that. I'm gonna mute your mic. That's what we gonna do. We gonna mute your mic and just allow you to talk when we want you to talk.
Okay, I'll just put it down.
Please don't drop my mic. It costs way too much money for you to be throwing mics around. This is not WWE. Anyway.
That's that niggerdom.
Yep. Oh, new word. New word alert. New word alert. Called it niggerdom. We're gonna have to figure out a definition for that. And not on today's show. Oh my goodness.
In all my days.
Man, every time I allow somebody to get on the show that don't got a project, it go left. I need to just start the show off with, hey, they don't rap, sing, dance, no poetry, no jokes, nothing. So this show is gonna be left. If you're looking for a left show this week, you're getting it.
All the way left.
Especially with inappropriate one over there.
Oh, well,
I am not inappropriate.
Not all the time.
Am I?
Yes.
I don't realize it.
That's because you don't have a clue what inappropriate is.
Oh.
You got to have a base to be able to get some context.
That's exactly what that means, man. That's exactly what that means.
Well, all right then.
So I brung y'all on the show to ask the everyday man, right? I needed two regular everyday black gentlemen to ask this question. Do you believe that being taught to survive has ruined your mentality and left you at a disadvantage in comparison to all the other things you could have learned outside of survival? Because I feel like as blacks, especially black males, we are taught survival technique before anything else. So I wanted to ask some men that question, since it's a serious question. What do you think? You can start with a yes or no and we can get deeper. So let's start with Monte as answer the question. So Monte, what do you think?
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
I also agree.
Okay.
To an extent, though.
All right. Now let's dig into your extent. Let's get into that. So I think when I'm saying in a general sense, right, the broader idea of this question is it that when you're African American and you're taught the bare minimum of information, so that means that your parents was like, hey, you gotta go get a job, hey, and you gotta find somewhere to live, and this is how you wash clothes, and this is how you pay bills. And that was it, right? A lot of us, that was the gist of the life class that we got. And we might have got a little, hey, don't do drugs. We might have got a little, hey, don't be out here trying to scheme or sell things that are illegal, whether it's drugs or other things. But that's really it. That's kind of like where it ended. A lot of us weren't getting a finance class from our parents. They weren't explaining to us taxes. They weren't breaking down, okay, well, this is how you start an LLC, or this is how, if you want to get into the stock market, or hey, here's how you go acquire a small business loan. A lot of us weren't given any of those bridges, any of those places.
So I would say a lot of us weren't given those bridges or any of those places is because our parents weren't in those places. They couldn't teach us something they didn't know.
Right. That's survival. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
But a lot of us don't know this information now. When we do acquire, we're acquiring in our late 40s. Or late, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of my friends who are getting in the stocks are just now getting in the stocks. Not to say that I don't know people who got into the stock market earlier in life, but that's not what we really being put onto. It's the same thing as like buying a house. Monte, what is your thoughts?
Well, so when we're speaking in terms of that, let's just say I can remember, everybody reads stuff and you get an idea, something looks good, and you be like, hey, that's a good idea. So I can remember I read an article before the red box came, and it was only $1,000 investment to get you a red box. I went around and talked to a few people and didn't get no traction from it. So boom, instead of, having the wherewithal to be like, maybe I should do this anyway, I never followed through with it because, that's something that wasn't presented to me to be able to realize if you don't need nobody to help or, you don't need anyone to push you along if you already had that idea. You just get out there and jump into it.
You don't need a yes man.
However you want to put it. Push along, be pat on the back and be like, hey, that's a good idea. Maybe you should do it.
Right.
So
cosign.
So in that term, that's just with life. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people aren't even taught how to pay bills because of what you've seen. I'm gonna stretch this bill to next week, and then we're gonna let this the final notice bill come. So if you're growing up seeing final notice bills and all that type of stuff, there's no foundation for you to be able to be like, hey, let's pay these bills before they come. Your bill comes to you 15 days before the due date. A lot of people wait till the due date to pay it.
Exactly. But when you say a lot of people, you're talking about us in our community.
Yes.
And I think that comes from survival tactics. I think that is what's killing us is because we're only taught those tactics, right? If even when we're not thinking that we're being taught that, like you stated, that's what we're being taught if we're watching it. And so that problem in itself is why you keep seeing it. And so, like I was telling you in our private conversation, that's why we can't get to the next level. So if everybody is getting a house, right? So like, here's the flip. In white America, a white person will grow up in their house and maybe their family might move 3 times, right? When they die, if they have siblings, there's an argument for who gets the house because somebody should get the house if the parents didn't leave it to somebody. That argument that you hear about doesn't even go on in Black America most of the time because they don't own the house. They still paying a mortgage on the house or they was renting the house. So it just go back to whoever it was owned by. There's no asset there. So in white America, there turns out to be an asset. So let's say the house is worth $300,000 and the children can't decide what they're going to do. They still walk away with $100,000 a piece when they sell it. And they can use that to make another step in life, which normally a person might use to buy themselves a house. Mm-hmm. That kind of thinking is not done by us because we're not put on. And so the little nuances of the differences is why we're so behind, because we're being pushed into a constant loop of the first step. So what I mean by that is instead of us as a group of people saying, okay, this generation bought houses, then when they died, they passed their houses or the wealth they accumulated to their children. Their children took that wealth and pushed it to the next level. When they passed that wealth to the next group.
That's called generational wealth.
Exactly.
For those who are listening. And that's what we are trying to create within our community, what we lack within our community.
Right. And that to me is why I say we're in a constant loop. What do you think of that?
I agree with that. And also something else that a lot of people in our community don't think about is life insurance. And that's also something that will help the next generation
Certainly.
after you.
You are correct about that.
And not only that, there are different things you could do with your life insurance before you even have to collect on it. You could borrow against it
Yes, you
to
can.
invest into it. So those are more things that we are not taught. So it's just a whole plethora, a whole bowl of gumbo that we not tasting everything because everything tastes
You're not
like
being offered, and that's the issue. And so for me, what took me over the edge as a person is that I have a toddler age son, and because he's small, I started to look at what things I wanted to instill into him, like listening to music. And so, you can have a broad conversation of music as a whole, but for me, as someone who listens to hip hop and R&B, I structured his listening to, he has his own special playlist of little kid songs that are sung with hip hop and R&B beats of sounding like today, right? That's his baseline music. And then he gets some Motown, he gets some classic funk, and he gets some classical. That's the music he's getting. And then every blue moon, he gets splashes of what's going on right now because his siblings are doing too much in the living room or they're watching a video, and that's the background music. Is whoever, Lil Pump, whatever. Besides that, he's being quarantined.
I'm just why do we always refer to Lil Pump as something that is notable as a today artist when Lil Pump hasn't even did anything? I talked to my son about this and he asked me too. He was like, "Why do you always run the Lil Pump?"
Because I think what it is for older adults, we know what you mean by that. When you say Lil Pump, is what he looks like, not his music. So what I mean by that is when you think of a Lil Pump or a Lil Yachty or somebody like that, you think of a young boy who looks like a young boy with crazy hair and maybe some dumb face tattoos. That's the idea adults are trying to get across to other 40-year-old adults. If you don't listen, you're not aware of that, right? Because for us, if you told us a rapper that was present in our mind, for us, when you say Snoop Dogg, you think of the West Coast look, right? You think of a dude in chucks and khakis, that whole swag of how Snoop carries it. If you say Meth, you're thinking of that traditional sporty hip hop look, right? If you say Puffy, you're thinking of that Playboy look, East Coast. That look that those guys have, that's what we trying to convey when you talk about Lil Pump or you talk about Lil Yachty. When you use the word little and you're gonna say whatever rapper name and their name that next word ain't Wayne, that's what you're trying to prove. Because to me, as an older adult, Lil Wayne opened the door for all of them dudes. But that's another conversation at another time.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Because you got me ranting. You know what I'm saying? You got me ranting. But I think that's what we're trying to convey.
So there you go,
That's
youngins that don't understand why we always go to little Yachties and Little Pumps.
Yes,
he's the reference point.
Yeah, he's the reference point for other adults. They've seen him. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying Trippie Redd. People use him a lot too, and then they'll be like, well, Trippie Redd ain't really hot like that as far as the kids are concerned. They like the little kids is listening to him, and some of us are listening to him. But for adults, we know who you're talking about. And that's the most important point. We're trying to get you to see it's not my rap. Because my rap and what the youth are listening to is two different things. You know, if you go to the youth and say, I listen to MOP, they're like, huh? You have to use somebody that will be relatable to them that they know come from our generation.
Well, no one in their generation is a MOP type artist.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They don't have any as a reference point for them, but I'm saying they don't know who they are as a reference point. You could even start with them. You would have to start with somebody that's at the top of the food chain. You have to start with a Jay-Z and be like, well, MOP is Jay-Z on a bad day where he was ready to kill everything.
Everything.
And he had no metaphors for you. He was just coming straight to your face with facts.
I want to kill you motherfuckers. And
that's MOP.
You about to get this work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of explaining to do for somebody outside the loop. I tell people all the time, age is about when you're outside the loop. When you don't know something because it ain't popular to you, that's when you're old. You fell into your niche of stuff and you haven't looked outside no more. You don't know why it's raining. You're like, what's going on out there? That's when you out the loop. That's when you old. When you like, I don't know who this artist is. You ain't heard this? Nope. They like, they hot. They on the radio every day.
Who?
Nope. So back to the question, right? Back to the question. So because we're behind the 8 ball and understanding that, and why I put so much effort in trying to teach Titus, hey, his curriculum has to be these things because we can't have him influenced by these things. And because I know now what I didn't know, I'm having more conversations about finance and understanding that. So that's why I'm always, even on this show, I'm always big up in Dr. Boyce Watkins to people, because I'm like, he was the person that opened my eyes to, we're behind the 8 ball because we don't even understand finance. So that's why I say we're in the loop. That's why we stay broke, because we don't see how it's supposed to work to make it work for us. And we're spending our income in horrible ways on top of it. So like, if you don't understand how to make the money work for you, and then you're turning around buying empty products because they cost a lot for the point to tell somebody else they cost a lot.
I've always talked about that. You know me.
Then you're killing the game.
Yeah, well, you
and that comes from the survival technique as well.
Definitely.
You know, because you're so used to losing. So it's like, if you've been poor your whole life, you've always lost. And then finally you're the guy who says, I hit the lottery for $200, and then you went and bought some Jordans instead of investing and putting $200 in groceries. It's because you wanted people to be like, damn, you came up. Like, yes, I finally came up.
Got them 12s, them retro 12s.
Bro, listen, I've always been like this. So you out here, you got $200 shoes on your feet, and you riding the bus. You out here putting on a show. You got a $500 belt on.
That's all it is.
You know what I mean?
It's the appearance of.
But you don't have nothing but that belt.
I was watching Fargo, and Chris Rock is playing a whatever, on there, and he said this guy here had the original idea for the credit cards.
Okay,
he was like, people want to appear rich. So if they're able to buy something on a credit system, then they can move forward and looking the appearance of what they're trying to achieve, and then pay it slowly down or whatever. But all the while, we could charge them exorbitant amount and interest, and all they care about is they got this right now, and this is how they look.
Yeah,
exactly.
They can look like it.
That was way back, like late 60s. You know what I'm saying? That idea. So even then, it was all about the appearance.
Well, that's everybody. It's the idea of keeping up with the Joneses. The problem is when you haven't made it out of the step that starts to show off, then you won't acquire the knowledge to defend yourself against that. So what I mean by that is saying, if you're poor and you are trapped in the lane of being poor, when you get money because you don't understand money, because you never had money, then you're soon to let the money go, which will continue to keep you poor.
Correct.
That's why lottery winners have such a horrible historic record of going back to being poor.
I don't understand that, but I mean, I suppose, but why ball out of control?
Because you've never had it. So look,
it's goes back to the responsibility of money.
Right. And if you never learned it, here's a prime example, right? You're an NFL player. You come from Chicago projects. You bubble and make it. You play for the University of Illinois, and you were the Heisman guy. You get in the league. You get $50 million to play. They give you the $30 million up front, right? You play 5 years in the league and fill out your contract, but you were a bust. You played just good enough where you never got cut and got all your money from your original contract. You got the $50 million. After you paid Uncle Sam and did everything you had to do, bought your houses, you were left with roughly about $10 million left of disposable income after everybody had been paid that you were supposed to owe. And you did that part. But you also bought heavy on the top end. So now you're what? You're broke. And why? Because you didn't know how to invest it. Because why? You came from the projects. That is normally the scenario of most of those guys who have those limited windows. They don't become stars. That's what I'm saying. NFL is notorious for making broke people because they don't become stars. They get in, they got a contract. You got paid. You didn't perform like people wanted you to. You couldn't hang around in the league, and it was a wrap for your ass. And now they come find you 5 years later and you work at Target. Why? Because you didn't understand money management and you lived heavy on the top end. Why did that happen? Because no one taught you that information ever. And that is part of the survival technique.
And even with that person from the ghetto or whatever, once they make it, 9 times out of 10, they feel survivor's remorse. So now that I got this $30 million, not only am I going to take care of myself, but I'm finna pull John up. I'm finna make sure.
That's what got MC Hammer.
Make sure everybody around me good. But you can do that in a way where you still successful, but people don't have those.
We're back to the same argument. That argument always begins when you don't have understanding of the money.
No understanding.
Because here's the thing, right? MC Hammer's problem was that his touring wasn't paying for the amount of employees he was employing to do the shows. So, right? So now you did what? You blew the budget. So where is that money coming from? Out of your pocket. You can't sustain that over a long period of time. So what is that in the end for a common person? That's dumb. But if he didn't see it in the moment, that's how you end up broke. And it's because you don't know money.
You don't know money.
Because a businessman would have came and instantly ended all of that. Look here, bro. Your tours right now, you're making $30,000 to show up to do your show. You are budgeting $50,000 a show. We can't do that. That's dumb. You're not making any money. So what you need is to get you 3 chicks and tell them to dance the hell around while we play music in the background. You got a DJ, tell him to play that damn music and pay his ass.
And get rid of them 30 niggas that's on your back.
And get rid of all of them people. You don't need that. You don't need all that going on. That's what he should have been told, and he would have been swimming in money for the rest of his life. But that's not what you did. Or, hey, when you buy this house, gold costs this much. Don't go buy a gold toilet from somebody who makes gold toilets. That's dumb. Go find a place that just make toilets and bring them to gold. It would still came out cheaper for you. If you really had to have it to stunt that bad.
Yeah.
But that's not how you played the hand because no one taught you none of that stuff. No one told you that there's back doors to everything that's done. But you don't know none of this because you are in survival mode. And once you get the bag, you don't know what to do with the bag. That's why rappers rap about, I bought nice rings, I bought nice watches, I bought nice purses, I bought nice shoes. Yeah. You never hear rappers rapping about,
I'm financially stable.
I bought businesses, I bought stocks, I have land, right? That's not what you're rapping about. Why? Because that's not luxurious.
Who was the first to make his money work for him? Was it Percy Miller?
Nah.
First rapper?
Nah, Russell.
Russell?
Easy Russell is probably the first person to come out. I mean, I'm sure we could find like whoever the people who started the Sugar Hill Gang are still making money off of Sugar Hill Records.
Right.
So that should tell you something right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's plenty of people who have gotten to the long money. But if you're talking about hip hop as quarantined, I think the first person that really understood and made a way for himself was Russ. Really, because you had Def Jam on one level, but then you had Rush Management on another level. You know, he was one of the first people to pioneer getting his foot in the door with doing fashion because he seen how that Adidas deal went. That was a turning point for him in learning.
Right.
And so watching Russ's life is a great breakdown of learning finances and how you can take the finance of a thing and then make it work for you in other venues.
All right. So how would you apply the things that you don't know to your children? Like whenever I communicate or whatever with my kids, I'm always using myself as an example as to the heights I could have reached if I had applied myself in certain areas. But since I wanted to coast through, I am where I'm at.
Right.
I feel like that's like anecdotal though. You know what I'm talking about? So if you want to impart the knowledge that you feel that you don't have, learn it with them, or learn it yourself, and then impart.
Well, for me personally, I've been on this for a little bit. You know, for a while, what I don't know.
Right.
So it ain't nothing for me to be to explain to them or break down to them about the disadvantages I had growing up.
Right.
So for me, it's easy because I am reflectionary on myself.
Right.
But you have a lot of people that's just going through the motions, and they think they're doing the right thing by trying to show their children something different, but them themselves haven't realized the tar that they're in. You know what I'm saying? What's holding them down, what's keeping them slow. So, for those that don't know, how would you go about? Because a lot of people, you say, hey, go read that, but don't nobody go read or anything. There's not a lot of self-reflection and a lot of striving to better themselves. So, if I didn't know anything, how would you impart to me?
Well, if I felt the way that you just explained it, like once you say it to them, they not finna go get it. I'd try to take them by the arm and we'll go get it together. You know what I mean? Or bring in a person, or you know what I mean? Go get it. You talking about how to impart that? Be adamant, especially with your children. I'm trying to do so myself. I feel like in the beginning I was nonchalant as a father, and right now, as a father and a grandfather, I feel like exactly what Simon says. I have to raise these children better. I have to impart better knowledge upon them. Things I didn't know myself.
You also have to be self-reflective in that knowledge, though,
yes.
Because sometimes when you feel that you didn't do a certain thing, you overcompensate for what you felt like you didn't do.
Yeah, no doubt, but that's normal. That's normal, though. You know what I mean?
It should not be normal.
No, it shouldn't be. But
that's what we're trying to break. What we consider the norm. So survival, that's normal.
And here is the problem. Like, I personally can rant the whole thing. So what I'm going to do, because I got bills to pay, got a damn show to run. I can't be philosophizing the whole time. So I'm going to play some commercials real quick for my sponsors. Shout out to my sponsors. And when we come back, I'll answer your question in kind of detail. I'm not trying to ramble on because I'd rather hear y'all give me what y'all thinking than me try to give people the antidote. But I will give people what I think. I'm not going to hold that back. So let's do a commercial. And then when we come back, I'll answer that. All right.
Johnny Ray Ray Security Team. That's right, the legendary Johnny Ray Ray Security Team has a service or a plan for you, for your home, for your business, for your auto or boats. That's right, you can get a one-on-one personal security officer to take care of everything you need to protect you from any and all threats. If you need more, we can bring and provide a team of well-trained superstars made by Johnny Ray Ray himself. And don't forget our special deal. Right now, you can get our baby mama protection plan. This includes protection from your home, protection for your business, and protection for your personal well-being. Johnny Ray Ray Security Team. Better be protected.
Yeah, you know what it is. Shots fired. Podcast popping.
I'm back. All right. So my answer to that question is what you really have to do is to take the proactive stance of saying the things that you don't know that you feel should be key elements in putting into your child and the people around you, you must start doing self-research. And it is so easy to do the self-research at this point in time. Whether you're going to these websites that can teach you how to do tasks, like for someone like me, you can learn how to broadcast, how to get out here and get a podcast going. If you want to do photography, if you want to do video, there's places that just teach you how to do that. From a musical standpoint, you can learn how to play guitar, piano, all those things. On the financial end, back to tooting Dr. Boyce Watkins, he has a show dedicated to that, programs dedicated to that, especially for those of us in the African American community that would like to learn. Then you can go and look at these other people who are just finance people and start to watch so you can learn some things of that. You can take a class in learning how to get a house. Even if you aren't personally planning on getting a house, just so you know the steps. So when your child comes to you and says, hey, I'm 21, I make 40 grand a year doing blah, 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 I think I want to buy my first house, you can guide them into how to get them a nice little bungalow. Because you've done research to say, oh, bungalow is probably exactly about the house you gonna need. Two little bedroom. It's really about a size of a big apartment, but it's a whole house. It should be easy for you to manage.
Right.
That thinking is where you have to be, and being proactive like that now is really, really monumental because we're behind the 8 ball. And when you're seeing yourself in the mirror thinking, damn, we as a group of people are all financially struggling. And those of us that are making it are playing the monkeys in the barrel game of pulling each other down. We are spending our disposable income on the dumbest of dumb things, and we are not catching up. And the group of people that we're mad at and we think that they owe us something is a dumb prospect as a group of people to hope that's going to happen. You can't be mad at white America and say, help me up, if you think they're holding you down. That's dumb. So how do you fix it? Well, here is the blueprint of saying, well, first we have to get out of survival mode, and we have to get to step 1 of saying, yes, we're home buyers. Yes, we are in communities that are ours, that we are behaving, taking care of, and prospering in. That we can turn around and say, yes, we're bringing our scientists, our doctors back to our community to give back, because we have taught them more, that we have put a larger asterisk, a bigger star, a bigger light on being intelligent and not playing that's lame to be cool. That all of those things are part of that proactive movement to say that we have to look at the money part of it and say, you became a millionaire playing football, you need to help somebody else who's a millionaire give back into a community. It could be yours, it could be the community you play in. But if you help the rest of us get on as a group, we will be better as a whole. And that's just understanding the money. Like, realistically, it's really just understanding the money. We can't continue. The best hood line is we can't continue to trick off money. And a lot of us are tricking off money. I mean, think about it. If you're not a homeowner and you live in an apartment for 30 years, all you did was line somebody else's pocket. You could have owned your own crib and then at some point just paid your home tax, which is something like $3 grand.
Yeah, but that has to be a state of mind, like you're saying. If all I know is living in an apartment, I'm going to live in an apartment.
I understand that. I get it. But the issue with it is that if you're not being taught that, right? If we're not going to instill that, then we're going to continue to be behind the 8 ball. And then there's no then there's no reason for nobody to complain. You have a select group of us that will have learned this information and passed it on. Those people that Dr. Boyce Watkins is reaching, those people that are listening to finance, those people who are taking accounting classes and learning this math and getting it and passing it on to other people, they'll be on. And then you have the large segment being poor and continue to be poor. That's what it's going to be. It's certain things that if you don't do it, this is the result. It is what it is. So all it could be is people like me asking questions like this with gentlemen like you to pass on this type of game. That the reason why shows like this is set up so people can say, hey, I want to put you on and talk about something that's going to be maybe meaningful to you. You get some game out of it. Because that's all information is game. You're being put on the game at all time, right? You know, and you got to take that game and then apply it when it comes time to apply it.
Because there will be a time when you need to exercise it. Exactly.
No more, no less, you know. I think that's really what being woke is about. Being woke is really more about a person, no matter what their color they got going on, their sex, their any of that other stuff. Being woke is really about you having the proper information to make proper decisions. That you have been what? Well informed.
Awakened.
Exactly.
I definitely agree with that in the terms of what the true meaning of woke is. At the baseline, you know, people want to try to put it on conspiracy, you know, this person or whatever the underlying you think it is. But that's not what the real wokeness is.
And that's why I tell people that's not what it is. Because I've had people tell me, you know, being woke is the LGBT side of it. I've had people tell me being woke is the black side of it. You know, I'm woke. I know all the stuff that's happened in Black America and what people have done to us, and I'm on. I see it. No, you're not woke, bro. Woke is just taking all of that information, all of it from all corners of the universe and applying it. Now you're woke. That once the first time you didn't know how math worked, once you learn how math worked, you were woke to math. That's being woke. When the first time someone kicks another language to you and you start to click that language, now you're woke. Because before you were asleep, it was just sound.
Yeah, just sound.
It was just sound, right?
Sounds and numbers.
That applies to everything. That's all it is. And so that is why I say people who use it in other ways isn't really the true meaning of woke. So Danny Jr., let me ask you how Monte asked me the question of my thought of what I would do to try to fix this equation. Do you have anything to add to that? Do you have anything that crossed your mind during my ramble?
Not necessarily. I mean, you hit on all the points I would have hit on. Yeah. In order to pass something on, you need to know it. Mm-hmm. And there's no better time than now than to know something, because you can find it so easily. You can get it so easily. It's out there for you to get.
Yes.
Then comes the imparting of said knowledge. And, well, first, the usage of said knowledge, then the imparting of said knowledge. Because I can't tell you to do something that I ain't did my damn self.
I used to think that, but no.
You don't think so?
No. I think that the purest way to look at it is coaching. I think coaching proves to a lot of us that you can observe and give direction in something and not have accomplished the same thing. Because a lot of times what you're trying to do is inspire and give someone the base information. They're still going to make different decisions and adjustments while they're doing what they're doing. But if you give them the core idea and work them in a certain way where they feel it, see it, and understand it, then those new adjustments will be in the movement of what you want to happen instead of bad things to happen.
Definitely, because you've presented them with options. So you presented with 3 options, but once they're in that situation, there's 10 options. There's 10 ways to go. So from what you observed and learned from Danny and what I've observed and learned from you and whoever, I can be able to apply it to my particular situation because that's what I'm going through. So everything that's going on is a personal thing that everyone is going through.
Exactly.
So how I perceive things in my brain and how the world plays out, my movie doesn't look like nobody else's movie because it's in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So if I teach you how to, the other day we got some fish. I showed my kids how to scale and gut fish.
Okay.
Something easy. Something I did when I was 12 years old, couple summers, you know what I'm saying? And I can say I haven't scaled a fish in 20 plus years, but you know, it's like second knowledge because it's something that was embedded in my brain early.
Yeah.
So that is the whole subject matter of it. When you talk about learning things or being exposed to different things. Mm-hmm. Even though you're not paying attention, you still observe it.
Yes. I think like I used the example of coaching, Danny. I believe that a person who has minimum knowledge in something from actual doing could have a wealth of knowledge from observing. So it's kind of a situation where you could be a person that played football and you made it to the collegiate level at a D school and play wide receiver, right? And then your knowledge of the game of football is excellent, though. You turned around and you got a job at a high school as an offense coordinator. They go to the state championship. Then you get another job and you go to the collegiate level, but instead of you being a college person at the D level, you get to go to somewhere like Alabama and be the wide receiver backup coach. And your guys have a great year. You have studs, 2-3 of them.
Right.
People talk about you and they talk about what you did, and then you get another chance to be offensive coordinator. And then when people bring up what you did as a player, they're going to be like, he was an okay player. But from a coaching standpoint and what he understood about receivers and how to work them, he has become an excellent receivers coach and an even better offensive coordinator. And there's examples of those all over football that I don't think that you have to be like, I don't think that a person that is like Andre Wisen or someone of that caliber, your high tier wide receivers, has to be a wide receiver coach. I don't think that's the only person that could teach that. I think that you being a guy that played high school football and you were a great wide receiver and you decided to get into coaching because you have the knowledge is just enough that you could go and coach at a higher level. Yeah,
but still, all in all, you've performed said task that you're teaching.
Yeah, but what happens when you get to the level that you never made it to? That's what I'm saying. So it's plenty of guys who they're coaching in the NFL that never played in the NFL. Their coaching experience got them to the NFL. They could never play in the league. They were trash. It's just an honest conversation and answer.
Or since we're on the subject of coaches, let's take Spoelstra, for example, over in Miami. Never played a game.
Yeah.
Never played a single game.
Never played a single game.
Yeah.
But he grew up around that Miami Heat organization. He's seen it. His dad was a coach.
Right.
So he was around it all his life.
Right.
He never shot, he might know how to shoot a basketball, but he was never on nobody's team.
Okay.
Trash. Garbage. Put it like this. You and him in the backyard, one-on-one, you got a hell of a chance to get him a hell of a game.
Word life?
Yes. That's how garbage he is. And you're a top-tier coach. And look at it this way. How many coaches can you look around the NBA and say they actually play NBA ball? I mean, and there's more player coaches than there's ever been. But being honest, man, dude, the number is really low. It's always been really low because those aren't the guys that get the jobs on one level. And on the second level, there's way more people who have spent a lifetime learning basketball that never played that are excellent. I can coach it. Playing and coaching is two different things. I can tell you, hey, look here. They're gonna be in a man-to-man. You're gonna run a pick and roll. If he comes off the top of the pick and roll, then I want you to go left. If you don't and you get caught up in it, go straight to the basket. And the player like, hey man, he been going right all game. You're like, look, he not going right this time. The odds is in your favor. He going left. I'm telling you, he going left. Okay, and the play go and do everything you just said as a coach. It actually works 100% how you said. Player scores. Player comes back and says to you, Coach, how did you know? And he's like, because statistically I've been watching him, and when you guard him, he go left. When everybody else guard him, he go right because he think he can take him. So he think he can beat that, you coming around that pick and roll. But he's scared of you, so that's why he going left. Oh, I ain't never think about it like that. I know you didn't. That's my job. I'm a coach. And that happens all day long.
Yes,
it's coaches that's going to make a matchup. Their players would never try to make the matchup. They're going to set some things up in motion to get this matchup going because they know it's going to create a mismatch. That's why they're making a matchup. And same thing in football. Same thing in hockey.
Yep.
that coaches may see that a player might not see.
But you got to put that. They want to put that player in position to make that choice.
Exactly. That's the idea. That for coaches, you're looking at it from the viewpoint of saying, I want you to be in the proper place to make the best decision possible. So if I call a great defense and I'm telling Danny to blitz, and I'm like, Danny, you're going to blitz. But in my head, I'm like, now Danny has two choices when he blitz. He can blitz hard to the right. He can blitz hard to the left. If he blitz hard to the right, he's going to close the door if the man is shooting out and they're running a pitch play. I done told Danny, now look, they ain't running a pitch play all night, so they due for one. You decide to blitz hard to the right, banking on the idea that they're probably going to run a pitch play, and they do. You get a huge sack. You get a huge tackle for loss, right? That's a coaching putting you in a proper position to do it. Where if I was a coach and I didn't say that and I didn't give you no information, I just said, look, I want you to blitz. You love blitzing hard to the middle. That's your thing. You blitz hard to the middle and it goes to the outside and break wide. And I know that's your tendency as a person. And I know this. So you blitz hard in and it goes to the outside and break wide. That's on me as a coach as well. Because I didn't put you in the best position to make the best decision you possibly could. Because I was lacking information that I didn't give you.
So in that aspect, parenting is a coaching job.
Exactly.
And me and Jeremy Glasgow talked about this the other day.
Shout out to Jeremy Glasgow. He was on the show. And about coaching. Look at Monte.
Right.
Monte might be meant for this thing here.
I am. This is my calling.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had to put that deep voice on him. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you see how I turned it to a whisper? That's how you know it ain't natural. When it's not natural.
It is natural. You know what I'm saying?
When it ain't natural, turn it to a whisper. You got to be able to keep that same volume and sexy all day at the same time. Well, now, Danny Jr., don't you start. You start breathing heavy on my mic. Spit start coming out. Don't nobody want to see all that.
Nobody breathes heavy around here.
We're going to have to file a report against you.
Against whom?
You for dirty
Whatever.
dirty pool.
No.
Pool.
Listen.
But back to Jeremy though.
Go ahead.
You know, he has a lot of kids or whatever, and
a whole gang,
a tribe,
a village. He takes care of a village. That's what he does.
He got half of a basketball team.
Right.
The boy jump shot is good. He shoots up the club frequently.
But each child requires different type of interaction between him and between them two.
Right.
So, you know, he always draws on that. So when he deals with one child, he knows one child needs to be handheld to be walked through. But since he's been doing it so long and he's been imparting this knowledge into him, he don't have to actually pull him no more. He could just say, look at that, because I've been telling you that. So when you're imparting knowledge to your child, it's not really about putting what you know into your child. It's giving them options and knowing that if you do this, this could happen. There's this guy named Ben Greenwood. I listened to him on the podcast.
Okay.
He has twin sons. I think they like 10 or something. He let them drink. And whoa, no. He knew that because they drink and they don't put away their liquor. It's sitting around or whatever. So before he let them have a sip or whatever, he always gives his children the full picture. Okay, if this is alcohol. Alcohol is made to give you nostalgia, or give you a nostalgic type feeling. I don't know what that.
It's called a buzz, man. Call it what it is. Alcohol is made to give you a buzz. Made you give you the happy-go-lucky feeling. If it's working properly.
So when he talked to his kids about drinking, he gave them, if you consume too much, what could happen to your liver. He broke it all the way down. What could happen to your liver? What could happen when you're out and interacting in life? So when he raises his kids, he gives them the full plate to let them know, if you eat these strawberries, this is what's going to happen behind the strawberries. that is how we all should, be moving through life, presenting different things in front of our children. Drinking was taboo, it was normally done when my mother and her friends sent us to bed. You know what I'm saying? And then it was, this is adult time or whatever, how you want to categorize it.
Danny, I'm asking you, what is your introduction to alcohol? You're thinking about it. Like, how did people handle it around you?
So I don't know if I've ever told the story, but I was told a story a little bit ago that I was about 2 when I was introduced to drinking alcohol.
Are you going to tell us about the
You told that story last week.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but well, so okay, so we're gonna go to. You said he let his kids drink at 10.
No, what he's saying is he let them try it, and then he gave them the breakdown because he didn't want to put his alcohol up. So he just explained everything about said thing. So he gave them every avenue of where alcohol can take you from. Yeah. Hey, it makes you supposed to feel happy. If you drink too much, then you can fall down a flight of stairs. You don't want to be the drunk and angry person. So he gave them so much stuff that it probably overwhelmed them psychologically for them to step back and say, I don't even want it. I'm good.
I mean,
but they had the information at a later date to use.
I agree with Monte and whomever he's speaking of, whatever.
Ben Greenwood.
This
guy likes to microdose mushrooms to increase brain elasticity.
So, yeah, I mean, yes, not only should you be doing that with your children, with your significant other. Here, these are all the things.
But that's not what people do. I think the point that Monte was trying to make is that us as humans, we don't do that.
No, not normally. We don't.
So,
we do not.
Like he was saying, in his household, it was taboo. In your household, yes, you might have got into liquor early, but it was one of those things where it was adult time. We having parties and stuff, and you would get escape from the kids who are supposed to be keeping an eye on you, which happens to a lot of little kids when they're toddlers. You're a toddler, and the parents are downstairs or in the basement or something, having parent time, kicking it with their friends, and some toddler runs into the room and he done stole Uncle Willie beer.
I think I was 16 years old when I was allowed to drink in front of my parents, and that was at occasions. Not that I could come in the house with a bottle and sip.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But you were allowed to, it's a birthday party, it's a party.
And see, on the other end of that, my mother didn't buy it. You know what I'm saying? I came home drunk, and she said I was slurring and swaying all to the side. And
now, see, my experience is totally different than y'all's.
Then
because
she was like, you cannot be in my house if
like
you want to. Yeah, you can't be in my house drinking. And since I was 15, 16, I thought I knew what the world was. I left home because I wanted to.
So you can't stay with us?
Yeah, that's when I came to stay with y'all. I stayed with my sister first. I moved out and I moved in with my older sister when she was staying here. She stayed on Eastern and Dunham in that one little building right there across from Fanny's.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
So I stayed. That's when I moved out because
you wanted to be grown.
I wanted to be grown.
See, for me, my drinking and understanding alcohol and its effects on humanity as a whole and people in a tighter knit thinking was my father was an alcoholic and I have an alcoholic uncle. So for me, I watch alcohol and consuming it totally different from everyone else. Like for me, I wasn't really aware of drunk people probably until I was like maybe 8 or 9. My dad was what I would call the best version of alcoholic you ever should want. And that's saying a lot. Like I've seen what people really talk about as alcohol abuse. And so what I learned is that my dad was like a chill drunk and he didn't tear up nothing. The most you might do is catch him listening to like the blues or something like that. Or like crying because he missed his parents. Things that other people do when you drink too much. You might find yourself in those situations. You know, a lot of people have done that before. That my dad was that kind of person. Like the most he would do is smack a car, you know, like drunk driving type shit. But it wasn't like I never seen him beat my mom. I never received beatings because he was drunk. Nothing like that. But it taught me about addiction in a different way than a lot of people, like, because my dad was straightforward with me. He was like, every man has something he's addicted to. He was like, you could be the dude that's addicted to porn. You could be the dude addicted to money. You could be the dude addicted to women. You could be a dude addicted to drugs and alcohol. So everybody's going to have their thing. He said, once you find it, that's your fight. He said, it'll present itself at some point, and when it does, that's your fight, because it will mess with you your whole life. He said, but the key is knowing it and then mastering it. He said, because you're never going to really defeat it. He said, I never wake up and have a day where I don't think about drinking. He said, it's just weighing the odds of, do I want to be drunk and have my day all messed up, or am I going to go and complete the task I need to complete? And so that taught me a lot about it. And once I found out the thing that I was addicted to, I knew how to maneuver around it and fight with it in a different manner than I think a lot of my peers did, because I watched my father be an alcoholic. And I think that kind of learning is good and bad. And I think for a lot of us, it causes trauma. I think for me, it didn't cause trauma because I had the best situation you could possibly have out of it. That I faced it with someone that was brave enough to talk to me, understood life enough that he could impart wisdom to me, and he wasn't destructive to my family because of it.
That's it right there. The whole ugly part of being an alcoholic and being a drunk is the aggression that comes behind it.
Yes.
That's what some know. You know what I mean? Not everybody's that alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But he's saying I think what he's trying to point out is that what makes it offensive to the average person.
Yeah.
So it would be categorized different, just like you said, a friendly drunk or a mean drunk. But at the end of the day, a drunk is a drunk.
Well, it's just, it's just the decision they make when they're drunk, and because they're drunk all the time. See, the difference for the rest of us is you coming over, hanging out with me, and we drink too much, you end up drunk. You say, bro, I'm getting an Uber. You go home and fall asleep, right? That's fine for a Friday activity. We can laugh and say, we had a good time. We was over tripping, drank, oh, yippee skippy, right?
For a hump day?
But you show up on Wednesday at 3 a.m. trying to party when you're 45 with a fifth? No, bro, that's not cute. You know what I mean? That's the difference. And I think that when it turns, that's bad. And then if you add violence, that's bad. Or if you add messing up the household money, that's bad. Or you talking about messing up the car. Because my dad still brought us turmoil. It was just the kind of turmoil that didn't make me hate him, because there was nothing to hate there. Right. As a kid, you don't feel the blow of dad smacked the car, so the insurance people are going to give them this much money. They weaseled out of it. They got a different car. You know what I mean? Like, I was one of the most fortunate people it was when it comes to your home living, is saying, I live in a household with 2 parents with 3 vehicles. I live middle America life as a black male in a time where you could have not have paid attention to anything racial really going on, in a time period that I got to live as a child. That I could escape all of that. And the only reason I did understand racial shit was because I had parents that made me aware of it. My dad broke down, when you go in a place, you want to be polite, you want to be kind, you want to be courteous to people as much as humanly possible, because you don't want anyone in there to be like, that's that nigga. He said, you never want to be that guy. He said, you want to be you. He said, when you go somewhere, act right, people see you. He said, you want people to see Simon. You do not want people to see you as that nigga. Right. And so that I always took that and said, yes, that's who I'm going to be. And so I believe to behave like that because my dad made me feel like that. My mom told me, use proper English. Speak to people like you go to school. That's why I speak to people like I went to class. Strictly for that reason, so people wouldn't look at me as a dumb nigga. And my parents basically put that flat out on the floor. Do these things for these reasons. And I'm thankful for that. So as we go back to the core of the conversation, what I want to now do is for us to take the kind of lessons I got from my parents, continue that class, and then add money to it. If you do that, you make better people. And that's all I want to do. I just want to make a better group of black people. And that's why I brung you guys on to ask you a bunch of questions like that. So we're getting close to the end. We done kicked it for a minute. My last question to you guys is, where do you see your financial life changing in trying to teach your children the financial information that you're trying to learn now? As being guys who are on the later end of life and being fathers and just now getting a better concept of it, what is one of the goals you're trying to teach your children now?
Me personally, when it comes to term of money, just because you have it, that don't mean you got to spend it. Don't be a consumer.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I don't want them to be a consumer, and that's what I'll be trying to impart in them.
You don't need everything.
No, you don't. So if you went to work today and you earned $30, put some away. You always want to buy video games or whatever, go ahead and scroll away $5 until you can get to the point where you can get that without having to spend that whole next paycheck you got, and then you ended up with nothing.
Right.
So if you manage your money better, make wiser decisions when you spend the choose, it allows you to do other things.
And I think it's important to add to that is, and teaching who you're buying your products from. Make sure that the things that you like, you're supporting them properly. If you like comic book stuff, make sure that you're not buying bootleg comic book stuff, that you supporting that company, because those little dollars mean something to them of a great deal. Danny, what about you? As my question goes to him, what are you trying to impart on your children from the new information that you've learned through a lifetime about finances and things you're learning now? What are you trying to impart now?
Well, coming from a guy who used to fuck up the church's money a lot. So I am on the tail end of paying off debt. What I'm imparting right now is don't incur such debt. Always pay your bills, and credit is important.
Got you.
That's what I'm trying to impart right now to my grown children. I got grown children. I do got a 9-year-old, but she don't listen very well. But I still try to impart in her whenever she got $1 in her pocket. Daddy, can I go to the store? Daddy, you take me to the store? Daddy, let's go to the store. What you gonna get at the store? Ice cream? I got ice cream in the freezer. Yeah, I know, but what?
I want that other ice cream.
Exactly. I'm trying to impart that into my grown children, as well as my 9-year-old as well. I feel like I'm spending wiser. I feel like I am imparting that upon them as well. I feel like I'm taking care of my responsibilities better as far as rent, light bills, cable, my lights working, all that. I'm showing and proving that this is how you do things.
Got you. You're showing a better example of how to manage that situation.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Look, there were times where I didn't have.
We've all been there. We've been broke. This is the cycle of broke. The whole show today was the cycle of being broke and why you
broke.
These days, a few friends pointed out to me that I am a little fortunate. I got a little extra and I didn't notice it. And I thank you guys for making me notice that, because I am.
Well, yeah, that's
better.
what friends are. That's what friends are for. I'm going to say for my answer, right, that for me, the biggest thing I'm trying to teach the children is in different stages. So each person, I learned something different to impart to the next person. So what I'm doing now is with the older children, I'm explaining to them that they have to be looking at the broader picture of life, that they need to be planning a financial plan that doesn't include anybody else, whether they get married or not, that they should have a backbone plan saying that, I've been spending $10 out of every check, putting it into stocks or putting it into bonds, stuff that I'm not going to ever use, strictly based on the fact that I could look up and I have $100,000 of money I've just been accumulating over a lifetime. That idea. And then on the other end, I'm trying to teach children the basis of how hard it is to make $1. And so how far the dollar actually goes. So I'm always giving like the boys arguments why I gripe when I have to pick them up for sports. So I'm like, all right, if I, as an adult, have assisted in picking you up in my vehicle to take you from set point place to point B, then it costs me. And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, gas costs. If it's $2 a gallon and I need 5 gallons, how much money is that? And they tell me the answer. And then I'm like, so I need a half a tank. My car burns up gas because it's a hoopty. So if I drive across town, I might have spent 3 gallons of gas on taking you from point A to point B, because I got to drive all the way out there and then drive all the way back. I said, you don't got no money to pay me. I said, so I got to budget that money in, because I need to have gas in my car to go to work to get to the money, right? And so explaining that situation to little boys is very important so they can see it. They can hear about it. Because if they just take it as you're griping because you don't want to do, they don't see the dots being connected. So I'm like, it's not the fact that I don't want to come and drive to come pick you up. It's the fact that you're burning up my gas that your mother's not going to put back in. Hint, hint, joke, joke. And then I get yelled at because, yes, their mothers do give me gas. But I'm trying to paint the worst picture for them so they understand ain't nothing free. So all of this stuff costs, and the amount of money that I make is being pulled into other resources that I'm not getting something back out of, per se. And so you're trying to teach them that as men, you're going to incur some things that the payback ain't what you're going to think it's going to be. That, so.
It ain't going to come back. It didn't come back right. It ain't going to come back. It didn't come back right.
Exactly. That it's just one of those situations where, when you come to deal with children, you have to wrap in your mind that you're going to have a financial loss so you can have a psychological gain. And that's the real plan. The real plan is, okay, I fed you, clothed you, but the whole time I was feeding you and clothing you, I should have been putting game into you so you'd be a better person. A lot of times people just stop there. And then that's the problem. You can't stop there. The time to really be doing the biggest thing is to be instilling the best parts of what you need them to know. Hey, this is how finances work. This is why you're polite. You're not polite just because I told you to have manners. But if you don't have manners and you walk in a situation where you're rude to somebody, you might be rude to the wrong person. Then you close the door because you were stupid. That's the kind of game you're trying to always instill in children. And that's when are you doing it? When you buy them stuff. When they're out with you making their soda purchase, their pop purchase, their chips, when you buying toys, when they say, oh, I want this, and you say, it's $25. You know how long it took me to make the $25? So now I'm going to need something in return for my $25. And you as an adult, you might make $25 an hour. So you like, well, I need an hour's worth of work out of you, child. Or you could be poor like me and say, oh, I needed 2 hours to make that money. You know what I'm saying? I was going to make more than that in 2 hours, but I needed 2 hours to make that money. That's the breakdown. So I think that's what I've been on. I want to thank both of you gentlemen for stopping by the show. We done went over. Best thing about having your own platform is you do what you want. Y'all want to go ahead and shout out who y'all want to shout out. Appreciate y'all. Danny Jr., a.k.a. Jizzle. Hot Dog, Big Monte.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Be on the lookout. I got some shea butter lotion for men coming out. It's going to be called The Butters.
The Butters. Okay.
It's going to make your skin nice and silky.
Oh, nice and silky? Okay.
Nice and silky.
All right, I'm going to have to.
Well, since he's saying something, I'm coming out with a project real soon myself.
What you coming out with, Jizzle?
Listen, it's an apparel line, son. I'm falling in line with my family.
So you going to be under the Danny and the Bray Locks and the Morrises and everybody else you relate to, half the other city, y'all. Yeah, why don't y'all just start one clothing company and just let each one of y'all have a season? How about that? Tell your big brother that's not your big brother.
My big brother that's not my big brother.
Yeah, Greg's your big brother that's not your big brother.
Not at all.
While we shouting out Greg, look out for that ADSU.
Yeah,
apparel.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm always shouting out Greg. Greg and Candy Faith get free publicity on this show all the time.
That every kid deserves a dope father.
But don't y'all have somebody else? Don't y'all have somebody else in y'all family with clothes?
Mr. Braylock, every kid deserves a dope father.
Yes. Not only that, Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams.
Blackness.
His clothes going hard.
Okay, well, I mean,
the embodiment of blackness.
Well, all right. So now we're back to the same thing. Everybody in your family that has a clothing line, I think I just need to start a company and go for it and stop having individual clothing lines. Y'all in the way. Y'all doing the same thing. Y'all in the way. Y'all need to just come out some shit like Bray Lock clothing.
I'm trying to tap a different market though.
What market you going for?
I'm going for the international market.
Oh, you trying to get France and England to be rocking your stuff?
Guam and you know what I'm talking about.
Are you trying to move into Cambodia?
Yeah, you know I can't. Yeah, bro. Look, I want my shit in Portugal, son.
In Portugal?
You know what I mean?
Off in Ghana.
You know what I mean?
That's how you get them off your show, bro.
He cut me off.
You just hit the outro music. Yo, what's up? Anyways, been your boy Simon Phoenix. Shots fired for Denny, the Jizzle, for Hot Dog,
Mr. Adams in the building.
Appreciate them both coming by. This has been Shots Fired Podcast. I've been your host, Simon Phoenix. I holla. Peace.